Hi, everybody. Ross the Boss here, and my hair looks horrible, but there you go. I'm fixing a little bit. Casey Scheinfeld. We're
You can pull
live
anything
from LA,
off.
California, and Casey's in Pennsylvania. We got a lot of football going on, baseball going on. Basketball starts in 2 weeks. College basketball starts in 3 weeks, Casey Scheinfeld. We got sports going on all over. Even hockey's going on, Case. But we're here to talk football, which I'm excited about. Two big trades happened to the Casey.
Yeah.
The first one, Davante Adams going back to his old quarterback in the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Casey, what do you have to say about that deal?
It seemed like the most inevitable deal. Like it reminded me a little bit of the Zamboni scene from Austin Powers, where he's like waiting for the Zamboni to hit him for 45 minutes. It feels like, it could be good for the Jets. It makes the Raiders, to me, the most laughable franchise maybe in football right now, that they got a third round. They allowed Davante Adams to pretty much dictate everything and kill any value he had. So the most they could get was a third round pick. But I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is not a young quarterback anymore. So he's not the guy who can extend plays consistently. So he needed another receiver who was going to get open quick for him and that he knew exactly where he'd be. And it's good for the Jets, as much as I don't think the Jets will ever win because they're the Jets. You can't deny they got two great receivers in Adams and Wilson on the outside. I feel bad. It means like Mike Williams is now officially on an island somewhere, lost, and will never play again. And I feel bad for Allen Lazard, because he had 5 touchdowns on the year. And I think this kind of kills his targets a lot.
I agree. The Jets 2-4, Casey. Is it too late for the Jets to do a playoff push? Do you think they can make the playoffs? Do you think they're just thinking big right now and trying to save some jobs? I mean, what's your thought on the Jets season?
Look, I think if they can win, what do they have? 10 games left? 11 games left?
2-4. They have 11 games left.
So if they can win 7 or 8 of those 11 games, if they can get to 9 or 10 wins, that's a wild card these days. There's not a lot of dominant teams. There's so much parity that if they can go on a run, there's no reason. I mean, who are the superpowers in the AFC? The Chiefs, the Ravens, anybody else?
I mean,
I know the Bills just beat them, but they didn't look so good the week before.
Bills, the AFC's pretty.
I think the Texans are probably the next best team, but so you have to be one of the top 6? Is that 6 or 7? How many make to the playoffs now? I think there might be 7.
Everybody.
So they can make the playoffs, and once they get in the playoffs, who knows?
So last night, Wilson, big game. Breece Hall finally woke up. He had a good game, fantasy. I'm talking about fantasy-wise. Both those guys look good. Aaron Rodgers just didn't have enough protection to win the game.
Oh, my.
He was getting sacked, and he was getting, I hate to say it, but he's like one sack away from being hurt. I mean, he's really pushing it, and he's not getting rid of the ball that quickly.
Right, and what we've watched the last 2 weeks from Buffalo is the exact reason they completed the other trade today and got Amari Cooper.
There you go. Amari Cooper, now a Buffalo Bill case.
They need an alpha receiver, right? Yeah. Like giving up, as much as Stephon Diggs may have become a problem for them in the locker room or whatever, he gave them an alpha presence on the field that allowed Josh Allen to make magic. And without it, you've seen what can happen. Sure, they won, but it wasn't because they looked so dynamic offensively. If, Ray Davis was the best player maybe on the field for much of the night, it felt like he was
let's
pretty
talk
incredible.
About Ray Davis, Casey. You brought his name up. We'll talk about him. Rookie running back. Is he worth picking up waiver wire this week?
Look, who are the top running backs this week? I mean, you have Derrick Henry. Let's leave him out of this because he is a genetic marvel. And in my estimation, although a non-quarterback hasn't won MVP in like 9 years or 8 years, Derrick Henry should be the favorite maybe for that at this point, because I don't think any quarterback has been super dominant in the AFC. But Sean Tucker, the third string running back in Tampa, Kamani Vidal of the Chargers, Tyrone Tracy of the Giants. We just mentioned Ray Davis of the Bills, like getting a second or third string running back, Isaac Guerrero, who we mentioned a couple weeks ago
I
or
have him on
last
my
week
list too. I mean, we're
for
talking
San
running
Francisco.
back.
Like it's never a bad idea to get the backup running back at this point if you have room on your roster for him. And why wouldn't Ray Davis keep getting touches? Why wouldn't Sean Tucker, even though Bucky Irving did well also, why wouldn't you keep giving Sean Tucker the ball, who was a great running back at Syracuse, but nobody thought he would do what he did. What was it? 200 total yards and 2 touchdowns just about?
Yeah, I mean, Ray Davis, I don't know if you heard the story last night. Foster child, had 11 siblings, not enough room at the foster care. He sacrificed himself to go to like poor living somewhere where he wasn't being really taken care of as a kid.
Yeah.
And now he's playing professional football, which is a great story. He was finally adopted by a family, and he calls that lady his mom. Great story, Ray Davis. So I know our cover guy. You picked Tucker as the cover, and tell me why are you high on Sean Tucker?
Well, it's not that I'm high on Sean Tucker. I'm not sure what to think of him. That's why the title is "Should we overreact or not?" Because when we saw Rachaad White was going to be out, everybody, including all of us here and everybody else I've read or said, get Bucky Irving, right? This guy is a stud and he's going to be great. And he was good. Nobody mentioned Sean Tucker that I heard.
No.
And the guy, and all he did was, get over 130 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and got over 50 yards in the air and a touchdown. If Rachaad White comes back, what does that mean? Like, I guess my question is, do I want anybody in Tampa Bay's backfield right now? Because it could end up being such a timeshare that they each take value away from the other, even though they're all good.
I mean, I love Baker Mayfield, as you know, big Baker supporter. He's playing like an all-pro right now. He's 51 points he scored last week. Just unbelievable. I'm sure Cleveland wakes up every day just saying to themselves, why did we go to Watson? Why did we pay all that money? Why did we do all that stuff? And it could be one of the biggest debacles ever in sports.
Oh, I mean, Cleveland and Carolina and now the Raiders are like three of the most embarrassing franchises in sports, if you ask me.
Cleveland and me giving him a guaranteed money over $200 million. And then the other bad decision was like you said, the Raiders. I mean, what are they doing? I have no idea. I have no idea what they're doing either. I mean, Adrian O'Connell is not a professional quarterback. I think Minshew's 20 times better. I just don't get that. And another big embarrassment too, Casey Scheinfeld, I'll say it, you can quote me, is Dak Prescott in Dallas. Dallas was embarrassed at home last week against Detroit. I mean, that was a huge embarrassment.
Now,
and they gave Dak a lot of money to play football, and he's not playing football that well right now.
Now, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I will, and I love seeing Jerry Jones struggle and the Dallas Cowboys struggle. But a lot of that is because 4 all-pro defensive players of theirs were not playing, and they just couldn't tackle or stop anything. It looked like, Jared Goff would walk up to the line and say, who am I going to throw a touchdown to this time? Let's throw it to this guy before the play. And then he'd end up open and catch the ball. But the Dallas Cowboys are the only thing that make me not want to hurt myself about my New York Giants, who are equally as bad. But let's get to some waiver wire.
Let's talk waiver wire. Let's start with running back. You brought up Ray Davis. I do have Ray Davis on my list. I don't have him number one. I'll give you some names. You tell me what you think, just to make it quicker.
Okay.
Tyrone Tracy Jr., not senior, Tyrone Tracy Jr., New York Giant running back. We talked about him last week. This week, he's still available under 60%, Casey Scheinfeld. You're my Giants expert. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm definitely adding him, especially if I'm the Singletary owner. I want him as a handcuff. Singletary didn't play last week, which was a boost to Tyrone Tracy's value. Going forward, I still want to own him. I think they play Philadelphia this week, which could be a tougher matchup for them. I'm picking him up. I'm not
Philadelphia. Then they play Pittsburgh. Correct.
Yeah. So they have some tough matchups coming up. Their offense is awful. How much had your Bengals given up the previous 2 or 3 weeks? It
A
felt like
million,
over 100 points.
million.
Uh, and then the Giants could only score one measly touchdown. You know,
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, I looked at,
And that
I
was
was,
their first touchdown of the season in offense. It's Snoopy. Is that true?
it might be, I don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what they
I
said.
was looking, cause I didn't watch the whole game, and I went to look at kind of the stats, and I was seeing like,
It was a bad game. Horrible game.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
Wan'Dale Robinson
I'm
had
happy you didn't
like
watch because
like 4 catches on 11 targets. Darius Slayton 3 catches on 9 targets. Like these guys he's throwing the ball just nowhere near
no
catchable.
one near him. I mean, that was the ugly, ugly game. The Bengals and the Giants.
So
Horrible, horrible to watch. Um, it was not entertaining. But I'm a Bengal fan. I'm happy they won. But there you go. Casey, Tyler Algiers, he's been just dangling
you
around,
you
not going
got to
over
pick
six
him up.
percent. I mean, I like him. I think he shares carries even on the goal line. He's out there. He gets touchdowns. I'm picking him up if I have room on my roster.
Yeah.
I'm that high on him, and I know he went to the University of Utah, who lost to Arizona State over the weekend, which I was happy about, as you know.
Yes.
Ty Chandler, Minnesota Viking. Aaron Jones is kind of banged up. Ty Chandler
Yeah.
looks really good. Ty Chandler looks really good. I mean, he's
Now they're coming
good
off a
football.
bye, so I don't know if that means if Aaron Jones is going to be better. If Aaron Jones is healthy, I don't think Ty Chandler has any value. If Aaron Jones is questionable going into the game or doubtful, but even better yet, then yeah, look, I'm not going to tell you if you have room on your roster to pick these guys up and keep them as a just in case. I'm always going to tell you to do that because some of the guys we've drafted to be starters, the Javonte Williams of the world and those guys, they're not really worth running out there either. So some of these backups have a lot more juice than the starters do.
What's your take on Isaac Gernardo? Is that how you say it?
Guerrero.
Guerrero.
Yeah, I mentioned him last
49ers.
week. Yeah, I mentioned him last week because I knew Jordan Mason wasn't always healthy. I didn't expect my prediction to come true that week where Jordan Mason got hurt. Now, in fairness, Guerendo's numbers weren't great. He had 99 yards on 10 carries, which sounds great. But if you remember, he had 23 yards on 9 carries and then 76 yards on the last carry he had, where he broke it off on a 4th and whatever it was to seal the game. So it is a little deceiving, but Kyle Shanahan is such a good play developer and they run so well in San Francisco that if Jordan Mason's banged up, you want Isaac Guerendo.
Yeah, there's a lot of waiver wire pickups this week. Another guy that I was thinking about picking up just because he was hurt last week and now he plays in Pittsburgh, and the first thing Pittsburgh does is run, and Russell Wilson's going to start those, so they'll be running a lot. They don't want to risk Wilson getting hurt or him throwing interceptions. Is Jaylen Warren is back. What's your thought on Jaylen Warren in that backfield in Pittsburgh?
I like Jaylen Warren. You and I talked about him last year that we thought he was better than Najee Harris, even though he was the underside of that share. If he's healthy and back, I'm not running him out there this week because it's his first game back and they're going to ease him back into it with the amount of time he missed. But I'd certainly keep my eye on him. He might not be one I claim to play this week, but he's certainly going to be one I'm looking at.
Okay, because of time reasons, you'll just give me the thumbs up or down. Are you ready?
Ready.
Braylon Allen. Down. Kamani Vidal. Vidal.
I'll go this way. I like him, but I still like Gus Edwards and whoever the Ohio State running back. I'm blanking.
Last one, Jacksonville running back Ernest Johnson. He got some playing time last week.
J.K. Dobbins. Sorry, came to me.
ATM looks horrible, and we
love Tank Bigsby, but he didn't do a lot.
He was hurt.
Yeah, but I do not want Ernest Johnson. No. Okay, I don't want anything in Jacksonville, to be honest.
Let's go to wide receivers, Casey. Something that wasn't picked up as much as you and I thought he would be because he was on a bye week is Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah,
Kansas City. They're playing San Francisco this week. San Francisco's DBs have been getting burned a lot this year. What's your thoughts on Juju this week? Is it worth a pickup? They're playing San Francisco, then they play Las Vegas, and then they're at Tampa Bay. At home.
I mean, look, we all thought that unless Kansas City finds another wide receiver to trade for to kind of match Buffalo and the Jets getting what they got, Juju's got to be kind of a strong consideration because it seems like that Mahomes trusts him. And when you have the best quarterback in the world trusting you as a wide receiver, you're kind of a must add.
I think he's my number one added wide receiver this week, just because what you just said. Another guy that I like, because Marvin Harrison Jr. concussion, I don't think he's playing this week. They're not going to play him this week. There's no way.
No, they're not going to rush him back.
So Michael Wilson comes in the fold as the number one receiver. He's having a pretty good year, Casey Scheinfeld. What's your thoughts on Michael Wilson?
Michael Wilson is a good wide receiver. Arizona is a bad offense.
Bad offense.
And so it's tough. It's tough that way because, Trey McBride is going to be the first option. Michael Wilson be a number two. Then I don't know where else they go. And so if Kyler Murray's efficient, Michael Wilson can go off. Who do they play?
They play the Chargers in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, that makes Vidal a better start too, by the way.
I agree. Let's talk about Green Bay and their receiving core. I love Reed. I think he's for sure number one in Green Bay. But they have two number twos, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Wicks is hurt. So out of Doubs and Watson, who do you pick up?
I like Doubs better. I mean, I know he was suspended last week for his little oppositional defiant behavior the week before, but he was leading the team in targets, red zone targets, end zone targets, the whole 9 yards. And Christian Watson is super talented and a good deep threat, but I don't trust that he'll be healthy for more than 1 or 2 games and then he'll be hurt again. So if I could only add one,
I like it.
I like him.
So we talk about this guy. He has like 2 or 3 games a year. And then after that, and then he's quiet the rest of the year.
Gabe Davis.
It's Gabe Davis. He had 2 touchdowns.
He had 2 touchdowns.
Gabe Davis is playing New England this week at Jacksonville. I think I don't know.
It's not at Jackson. Look, they're not playing at Jacksonville. They're playing in London, just so you understand.
Oh, in London, right.
But look, if in that game, Demario Douglas to me is the wide receiver to add. That guy is.
And he plays for New England, and he had 90 yards and a touchdown.
Look, Drake May is to me, if you're
not a quarterback yet, but we talk about Drake May. If you want to tell me, Drake May looked really good. Casey Scheinfeld.
He looked, and he's willing to make the throws, all the throws, and he was willing to run with the ball a little bit. And they're going against Jacksonville, who just gave up 4 touchdowns and how many points to the Chicago Bears?
A million.
Like they're the worst pass defense in football right now. So
they're a bad team.
Demario Douglas and Drake May, I think, are necessary plays right now. I also like he's like 0% owned, but he had a touchdown last week. Is Butte for New England? Keishon Butte, yeah.
I like him too. I think the guy's a threat. No one believes in him except me, in fantasy wise. But I picked him up in a couple leagues just because I think he'll get the ball in New England.
And I think somebody else you have to grab, because we all saw Spencer Rattler make his first start this weekend, and he didn't do horrible, but he likes Bub Means. Like he wasn't throwing it to a lot of guys, but Bub Means I think had 5 or 6 targets, made some really good catches.
He's on my list.
So he's got to be considered an ad for them as well. And New Orleans is going up against Denver, which is tough, but I don't know if he came back, but I saw Patrick Surtain walk off the field in the game on Sunday. I don't know if he's injured or not. So
I heard he's hurt. I don't think he's playing this week, but that's what I heard. We'll see what happens. Jalen Tolbert of the Dallas Cowboys didn't have the greatest game last week. He did get some targets. But is he somebody you're picking up this week, or just passing?
Well, I'm not picking him up this week because they're on a bye.
All right.
And I can't run him out there. I like Jalen Tolbert as the number 2, but Dallas has to get its house in order. I mean, it was ugly to watch, just ugly to watch. I feel bad for CeeDee Lamb.
Your guy Darius Slayton is still under 60%. Casey Scheinfeld, what are you doing with him?
As a Giants fan, I'm going like this because Malik Neighbors, hopefully he's back. And the second he's back, Darius Slayton is suddenly an afterthought. Still, the most targets went to Wan'Dale Robinson. Theo Johnson, the tight end, is it worth a flyer because he's become pretty popular with Daniel Jones. But Malik Neighbors is the alpha, and if he's back, Darius Slayton doesn't have a position, doesn't really have a place to run.
Give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Alan Lazard, he's still under 60% for the Jets. I agree.
Not because he's been great, but it's this because of Devontae Adams now. Trey
Tucker, Vegas receiver.
And Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers is still hurt. I don't know. He didn't play last week, but maybe. I think O'Connell's going to be slinging the ball. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be throwing the ball more. And I'm going to say it, I also think Herbert's going to be throwing the ball a lot more for the Chargers like he did last week.
Gus the Bus is on IR, correct?
I don't know if he's on IR. He didn't play last week.
Yeah, I think he went IR, and so it's just J.K. Dobbins and Kimani Vidal. Vidal was a darling in the preseason and the pre-draft stuff. It was a good game last week. It's a soft defense this week, so who knows what he does this week.
I think Herbert's going to start throwing the ball a lot more compared to the beginning of the year. I saw that from my own eyes this weekend when I watched some of the red zone with the Chargers on it, and he was throwing a lot.
Yeah.
He had a lot of stuff. Anybody else receiver-wise I'm missing until we move on to quarterback?
Josh Downs is still under 60% owned, which shocked me in Indianapolis. I really like him. Rashad Bateman
plays. Only if Flacco plays.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman was really involved last week with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. So he was good. Xavier Legette in Carolina caught a touchdown. Seems to be getting some love from Andy Dalton. So those are the other ones I might mention.
Casey Scheinfeld, Joe Flacco, quarterbacks now.
He's absolutely just a statue, but I love him.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's a machine. All he does is throw complete passes. That's all that guy does. This week I think they're playing Miami.
I
think
they're playing Miami, which is a tougher matchup for them, but
I don't know. So I like Flacco. He's only owned in 13% of the leagues, Casey. I'm going to say it, and you're going to laugh at me, but I still like Andy Dalton. If he plays during the day at 1 p.m.
As long as nobody sees him play, he plays great.
Yeah, they're playing at Washington, and I think that's a good start for him.
That could be a shootout.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The script on that game totally favors Dalton and Daniels, both of them. Tua should be back in 2 weeks. If he's available in your league, I still think Miami has a potent offense. When Tua is playing, I feel he has weapons, and I feel that he'll have some huge games. So that's not. And you mentioned Drake May. They're at Jacksonville, then they're at home against the Jets, and then they're at Tennessee. Then we got Daniel Jones. They're at home against Philly, at Pittsburgh. No,
you can't.
Washington.
Look, he couldn't throw a touchdown against the Bengals. I'm
Spencer
sorry.
Rattler. How long is Carr out for? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I mean, usually the oblique is 3 weeks.
3 to 4, yeah.
I tore my oblique before. I was out for 3 weeks. Let's talk tight end. A tight end that I've been picking up that's a big part of this offense is in Washington is Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Ertz.
I know you like Ertz. He's on my tight end list to pick up. You like him. I like him. Cade Otton for Tampa Bay.
Cade Otton, yeah.
You and I both like him. Noah Fant of Seattle. He's been getting the ball. He's been getting targets, Case.
Yeah.
Any other tight ends I'm missing that you like?
Colby Parkinson in LA. I think he's, especially with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both being out. Is
Kupp coming? Kupp is supposedly coming back this week. He's been in practice.
He might be. I don't know. Isaiah Likely still under 60% owned, and he only catches touchdowns. So
your boy Mark Andrews caught a touchdown this week.
I know. All right, what's up, guys? Hi, Will. Hi, Uncle Ted. By the way, I know you've been posting a lot, and I chuckled when you said I.
Sorry, Ted. I beat you in our fantasy baseball league, but sorry.
So Will Casper has a question. I have so many receivers, and these guys are really on my bench. Mike Evans, Ayuk, and Chubb for CeeDee Lamb. He could also do Amon-Ra and Chubb for CeeDee Lamb. So you're trying to get CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. So trade Mike
I would
Evans.
make the first one. The second one, no, because Amon-Ra is, to me, could be just as valuable as CeeDee Lamb. So if I was trading, I'd trade Mike Evans and Brandon Ayuk and Chubb, because Ayuk is a little like Gabe Davis at this point, where he'll have one great week and then 3 ghost weeks. Nick Chubb, we don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. And the Browns are an absolute dumpster fire. They just traded away their best wide receiver. They have a garbage quarterback right now who has settled more lawsuits than thrown passing touchdowns since he's joined the Cleveland Browns.
I like that one, Case.
And Mike Evans is great. Every year, 1,000 yards, touchdown machine. But if I'm trying to get CD, I don't want to give up Amon-Ra to do it.
Yeah, I mean, CD this year, Casey, has been very disappointing. I understand why the owner wants to dump him. He's probably frustrated. He wasted a first-round pick on CD Lamb for nothing. I think it's a good time to trade for him. I think his value's down, and I think you're 100% right. So there you go.
So thanks, Will.
Yeah.
Uncle Ted said Noah Brown got a touchdown, got 8 targets last week, and is a nice cheap piece of the Washington Commanders' high-flying offense.
Noah Brown, you and I talk about him when he played for the Cowboys. I mean, he's a good guy to have.
He's depth. That's all he is.
I wouldn't want to start him. I wouldn't want to be on a fantasy team where I'm starting Noah Brown. There's a million other wide receivers I'd rather have. But if you're forced to because of bye weeks, I get it. And I love the Commanders' offense right now. They're moving the ball. They're throwing the ball. They're running the ball. You know, they're a good offensive team. I like that. I like what they're doing in Washington. They're fun to watch. And no one expected them to be 4-2 right now either. I mean, the Daniels is going to be Rookie of the Year. I mean, in my book. All this guy
should be, yeah.
Yeah, Caleb Williams had a good game last week.
If Caleb Williams keeps playing the way he's playing now, and they make the playoffs, that would be an answer. But
okay, well, Casey, let's talk. Anybody else waiver wire wise that we did not talk about that you want to bring up?
Anybody else waiver wire wise? Not particularly. I mean, is anybody coming off IR that we need to know about? I know TJ Hawkinson might be, but Nick Chubb might be, but they're both over 60%.
Yeah, Nick Chubb is going to come out soon. I think it's a miracle what happened today. I don't know if you heard. Devontae Adams now is totally healthy. It's
amazing. His hamstring got better like that.
I mean, it was like it's like overnight it just repaired itself. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, I think he went to one of Aaron Rodgers' retreats.
The funny thing was Devontae Adams was in New York today. I mean,
I think he stayed at Aaron Rodgers' house last night or something like that.
He stayed at Aaron Rodgers' house, and now he's practicing with Aaron Rodgers.
Amazing.
Today, and
it just makes as a Raider, aren't you embarrassed?
I'm not a Raider fan.
No, I mean, if you were, or if you're like Raiders management, how can you feel like you got anything out of that? Because
let's you and I take defenses like week by week. Let's talk about my favorite defenses for this week. And I think I like the Rams playing the Raiders. I think the Rams are going to get a lot of turnovers in that game. Adrian O'Connell is playing an away game in LA. There'll probably be more Raider fans at the game than Rams fans. You can quote me on that. I mean, Rams fans don't barely come out. I mean, they come out for the Super Bowl and that's it. There'll be 80% Raider fans at that
it's
game.
A tough defensive week.
I'm just looking at matchups right now for defenses. If you guys are looking to switch up your defenses, I like. There's a lot of. I mean, it's not. I'm going to say it. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you why. The Bengals are playing at Cleveland.
I was going to say I'm going to jinx you and say I like the Bengals against the Browns.
I like the Bengals. Anything Watson. Watson is horrible. I mean, and plus they got rid of their number one receiver, and plus Ford is hurt. They're going to have major offensive issues in that game. They'll be lucky to score 14 points. Casey Scheinfeld. They have nothing going on.
How about Indianapolis at Miami, especially if Tua is not the quarterback?
If Tua is not playing, I like the Colts. You're right, and I know you like this guy beginning of the year, but he's horrible. Casey Scheinfeld is Will Levis of Tennessee.
Oh man, he
I
has
mean,
struggled.
I know he was like your
He was a sleeper for me.
He was your golden boy at the beginning of the year. I mean, Will Levis this, Will Levis is that. And he's
Aren't
great.
they on they play Buffalo this week.
I mean, he has not had over 100 yards in 2 games in a row. I mean, I think Dr. Dan Ratner can go out there and throw 100 yards.
Calvin Ridley went for all that money to Tennessee and has been just an afterthought in the football world because of it.
Well, he chased the money. It's a good example. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, he's a guy that got other offers from other teams. Other teams wanted him, but he went to the highest bidder because that's the way he thinks. And I get it. You want to get paid, but you do want to win. So he sacrificed his season with Tennessee because of the money. But again, he's another guy that I think might be traded. I think.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Wouldn't that be lucky for him? He chased the money, still gets it, and then he gets traded to a contender.
Yeah. But Will Levis is horrible. If you have him on your team, waive him right now as you're listening.
Yeah, I'd rather have Drake May right now than Will Levis.
I mean, I'd rather have Dan Ratner. I'd rather have anybody but Will Levis in the league. He's number 32 quarter. He's horrible. He throws interceptions. He can't throw 100 yards. I mean, they should really start. The backup is, what's that guy's name from Rudolph, right? Mason Rudolph is their backup.
Mason Rudolph, yeah.
Yeah, he's their backup in Tennessee.
Oklahoma State and then Pittsburgh, I think he was drafted by.
He played for the Steelers and he looked good. I mean, remember?
He's the one who took his helmet off and swung it at the guy or something, right?
Yeah, good memory.
Or got the helmet swung at him. I forget which way it went.
So I would start Mason Rudolph. Will Levis would be my backup. I don't know what they're thinking at Tennessee. It's embarrassing.
They're thinking, let's keep running them out there, and then we can get a top pick next year.
Yeah, no kidding. And, I think we'll see Cooper Kupp this week. So if you're Cooper Kupp owners, please stay aware what's going on. I think we'll see I'm pretty sure we'll see Nick Chubb this week. I don't know how much.
Might see TJ Hawkinson this week.
I haven't heard that, but if you said it, I hope so. I like TJ Hawkinson. And as long as Dallas has a bye week, correct?
Correct. It's the best thing. It's the best week they'll have all year.
I love how they have to not play and just sit there with that horrible loss at home against Detroit. I love it. That's the best thing that
on prime time. Like it was the game of the week.
I wonder if the coach said, "You guys aren't going on vacation. You're staying here and working out every day." That's what I would say if I was the coach. I wouldn't let.
Mike McCarthy's got to go. I don't understand why he's still the coach. I know Jerry Jones is part of the issue, but he's the owner. He's not going to fire himself. But Mike McCarthy is yet to win with these guys. So
I agree. Well, Case, we'll be back on Thursday.
4 o'clock.
Yep, and we have the Yankees playing tonight. Casey Scheinfeld. Who do you like? Tell me a really quick baseball. Who do you like tonight?
Well, I think MLB wins as long as the Yankees win. So they're going to do everything they can to get the Yankees to the World Series because it's either going to be the Subway Series with the Mets or New York, LA. But otherwise it's Cleveland. And so I think Garrett Cole's going tonight. And I think he's going to be fine. So they're going to go up 2-0. And then from there, they're going to make sure the Yankees make it to the World Series just for ratings.
I agree. I think MLB's excited if the Yankees make it. And I want Subway Series.
Shohei Ohtani in the World Series against Aaron Judge. Do they want anything more than that? Come on.
And will Casey Scheinfeld be watching it?
Wait, hold on. Uncle Ted is apparently a little salty. He's a Cowboys fan. He said, how many Super Bowls have y'all won? Well, the Giants have won 4, so that's not terrible. I don't know how many the Cowboys have won. How many playoff games have the Cowboys won in the last 25 years?
How about with Dak Prescott? How many playoff games have they won?
Or Tony Romo? Didn't they only win 1 with Tony Romo?
I don't know. It's been a horrible, Uncle Ted. Horrible. I mean,
yes. If you want to say that, that's like me saying the Yankees are better than every other team because they have 27 World Series, even though they haven't won a World Series since 2009.
They haven't won since 2009.
They've been overpaid mediocrity since. But
yeah, I mean,
I'm still a Yankees fan, but I can't. I can't say that because the Cowboys have won more Super Bowls, but haven't won one since like 92 or 93 or 90, whatever it was. They were winning them in the
I
mid
mean, they were
90s.
with Aikman and with Irvin.
Aikman, Irving, Evan
Emmett.
Smith. Yeah, it was Emmett Smith. It was
They
a
had a
great
great
team.
team, Uncle Ted. I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about the past 10 years. It's been painful.
Past 20.
I'll be nice, say the past 10, but it's just been it's been a
And I
horror
like
show.
Dak Prescott, by the way. I'm not knocking the guy. He's great with his mental health awareness stuff, as you
Me
know.
too.
But
100%. Great citizen. And
but
his brother, didn't his brother kill himself? Or
until Jerry, yeah, that's
horrible
why
thing with his brother. I remember that.
Until Jerry Jones,
I don't mind him either, but on the field, especially during playoff games, he's not good. I mean,
until Jerry Jones listens to Bill Parcells, when Bill Parcells says, if you're going to make me cook the meals, you should let me pick the groceries. Until he finds somebody who can be a GM for him, I don't think they're going to ever get over the top.
And I've mentioned this many times. Huge mistake giving Dak all that money, so they have nothing to spend on linemen or
and CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, they gave him a lot too.
I mean, what are you doing? Why giving Dak all that money? He hasn't proved anything to me. Quote me on that, Uncle Ted. Okay, Case. So we'll see everybody Thursday, 1:00 Pacific, 4:00 Eastern here on MFSN. We'll talk fantasy strategy, what you should be doing. It's almost middle of the season.
It is. We're 1 week or 2 weeks away from it. I think we're at the middle of the fantasy season because it ends in week 15 or something.
Pretty close. But whoever we mentioned today, folks, make sure you get those waiver wire picks in tonight because most of them go tonight. Don't forget. People always forget. And, I wanted to pick that guy up. Well, you should have put the bid in.
Yep, you got to put it in tonight. Most waiver wires go through Wednesday morning.
Yeah,
so.
Don't be afraid to drop don't be afraid to drop players that aren't producing. That's all I got to tell you. You waited enough. If you're fighting for a playoff spot, you want to have the best team possible. Don't wait on some running back or wide receiver to have a big game. It's not going to happen. Anyway,
all right, guys.
A little strategy talk. Okay, I'm Ross the Boss. That's Casey of Lads the Moon. Scheinfeld. We'll see everybody on